Yeah, here. I hope that y'all are having an amazing night. I am going live two places right now. So I'm live, well, three places right now. I'm live on Instagram. I'm also live on Facebook and YouTube. Y'all are getting a late night live tonight. I can't decide whether I like late nights or early mornings better. I guess I will just let the data tell me. But I actually had a client call that was rescheduled tonight, and I was like, "Oh, I got some time, so let me use it." So I hope that y'all are having an amazing night. I'm having a great night. It's been a great day. This topic came to me and I was like, oh, we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it because it's time to have the conversation around fear. It's time to have the conversation around fear because a lot of women are afraid of failure. A lot of women are afraid of success. But at the root of both of those things, you are afraid of your feminine power. And we're going to talk about it tonight. So, hello, everyone. I am Yaya Smith. If you are joining me for the first time, hi, it's so nice to meet you. Make sure to say hi. Welcome home. We say hello when we walk in here. I am the founder of Feminine Success, for those who might not know. I am a mom of four amazing children who are gone to bed, y'all. They are peacefully sleeping right now, and the wife of an amazing man who just might join us on live tonight. We never know with Hubs. Y'all know he pops in with the roses. So if you see him pop in with the roses, say hello. But I'm the founder of Feminine Success, a wife and mom. And Feminine Success is a coaching and consulting company that supports women with personal and professional development, specifically around understanding your feminine power, tapping into it, healing any disconnects that are there, and knowing how to use that power, how to leverage that power to create success in your life, how to leverage that power to create success that feels good from the inside out, not just looks good from the outside in. And so often we are building masculine success and we think it's feminine success, and that is not at all it. And so tonight we're going to talk about what fear of your feminine looks like, because sometimes it shows up in very, very, very subtle and sneaky ways. It can show up in the most subtle ways, and it can put us in the position where we're not receiving what we truly desire from life. We are not showing up and creating what we truly desire in life, and we're really playing small all over our lives. When you're playing small, you don't get to experience the feminine benefit of expansion and multiplication. You don't get to experience your feminine power to take a seed of an idea or a seed of something in your life and turn it into a bountiful harvest. You don't get to see that because you're afraid. And so we're going to talk about what that can look like tonight, because many times it does not look like lack. It doesn't look like failure. It doesn't look like pain. It looks like being in the middle of the road. It looks like being in the middle of the road. It looks like living your life on the fence, straddling the fence, never really making any radical or revolutionary decisions for yourself, never shifting in any major ways, but always feeling that internal nudge for more and finding a way to talk yourself out of it, walk yourself away from it, and really shrink, if we're being honest. Let me actually turn my light up. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I had to turn the light up over here on Instagram. So, tonight we're going to talk about fear of your feminine power, because much of what we are seeing happen in the world collectively as well as individually is rooted in the fear of the feminine. It's rooted in the fear of the dark. It's rooted in the fear of the unknown. It's rooted in the fear of chaos, which often shows up in control, the incessant need to control everything, everyone. It shows up as oppression, the fear of freedom, the fear of the responsibility often that comes with freedom, with true freedom, freedom that is not governed by the powers that be. And the powers that be becomes you as co-creator of your life. We are afraid of feminine sovereignty. We are afraid often of what will really happen when we free ourselves, when we free our minds, when we step away from the job that's no longer working, the relationship that's no longer growing, the mindset that may have worked for you before but is no longer working. We're afraid of what will happen if we start to invest ourselves differently, invest our time differently. We're afraid of what will happen if we use our voices differently. And so I am going to talk about that tonight. I want to first talk about how the fear of the feminine can show up. And I'm not going to go into every single way, but I will give a few that are common, a few that I see very, very often, almost like a repeated pattern amongst women. I've been growing this company and doing this work, sharing this message for over 7 years now. I have a couple clients who are on live right now. Hey, y'all. Hey, so good to see y'all. But over 7 years now. And when you have been working with women for that long, you start to see patterns. When you've been working with anybody for that long, you start to notice patterns. And there are 4 ways that I have noticed that women are afraid of their feminine power specifically. We're usually not afraid of our masculine power. We're not afraid to exercise and to lean into that masculine power because we live in a society that really praises and puts the masculine on such a platform that we understand it. We don't fear the masculine because we understand it. Even when we see some of the ugliest sides of the masculine, we are not afraid of it because we understand it. We're not afraid of using it because we understand it. When we see the hard and cold, sometimes callous parts of ourselves, the unhealthy parts of ourselves, pushing people away or creating results that we don't want to see in our lives, we're not afraid of it. Sometimes you do it again and again and again. But you do that because it's familiar and because you understand it. And many times our true femininity, our true power is not familiar to us. And so we don't understand it and we move away from it instead of moving towards it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fear of unplanned change. The fear of the feminine can show up in the fear of unplanned changes. So for those of you who are constantly afraid of the unknown, you are afraid of taking risks, you are scared to make a decision because what's going to happen? I'm scared to make the wrong decision. I'm scared to make this decision. Many times when you are afraid of your feminine power, your ability to walk into uncertainty and create order, you are afraid of things changing in a way that you didn't plan for. You are afraid of life doing life. But naturally, as women, we are designed to navigate that. Birth is completely unplanned. If you go the natural route to a birth, the biological makeup of a woman, when you give birth, it is a spontaneous act. And so when we're disconnected, not to say that you have to be a mother to connect to this understanding or to connect to this power, you just got to be in your body as a woman. When we are disconnected from ourselves and we are not at home within ourselves, we are not open to change. We're not open to all that life has to offer, all of the opportunity and the spontaneity that comes with truly living your life in a state of release, in a state of surrender, and in a state of receiving. So when you're afraid of unplanned changes, that is one of the ways, one of the top ways really, that the fear of your feminine power shows up. All right. So I'm actually looking at the YouTube and Facebook camera if you're over here on Insta. So if you're over here on Insta and you have a question, it's pressing, join me on YouTube and Facebook. But that's the first way. The second way is fear of unbound emotions, fear of your unbound emotions, fear of what happens when you don't check your emotions. Is the second way that the fear of the feminine shows up. This is for all you mamas out there who say, "Oh, I don't cry. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I just suck it up. We got to be strong." The fear of your unbound emotions is the second way that many women show a fear of their feminine power. And all of your ability to navigate change is a literal power. Your ability to organize chaos is a literal power. Your ability to go into the darkness and pull out some beauty is a literal power. Your ability to be in touch with your emotions is a power. A lot of y'all aren't manifesting, but you ain't cried in a minute, have you? When is the last time you had a belly laugh? When is the last time that you literally laughed until you were in tears? When is the last time that you cried from your heart? You're not manifesting because you're stuck. And I'm going to leave that at that. So, the fear of unbound emotions, the fear of seeing your whole self, all of your ugly and your pretty too, is another way that the fear of your feminine power shows up. The third way is the fear of your untamed tongue. The fear of your untamed tongue is the third way. Now I know y'all are my believers on here. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Yeah. Sure is. Sure is. But many times we are not afraid of speaking life to all the negativity that's going on in society. We are not afraid of speaking doubt over our dreams, goals, and next steps. But your untamed tongue, what you would say if you could, the version of you that wants to speak up when you tell her, oh girl, stay in the spirit. We're gonna talk about the fix for all these fears in a second, because if you were in the spirit, you wouldn't be afraid of your tongue. If you were really tapped into your spirit, you would not be afraid of your emotions. You would not be afraid of change. You wouldn't. If you were really tapped into your feminine power, you wouldn't be afraid of change. You would manifest easily because nothing within you would be standing in your way. Your spirit is not afraid. Your mind is, though. Your mind is afraid of what people will say if you say what you really mean. Your mind is afraid of how it's going to come across. So the fear of your untamed tongue is another way that the fear of the feminine shows up. We just came through this time when I think about 2020, 2019, with women marching and saying, we want our voices to be heard. And even at that time, I said, beyond your voice, what are you actually saying? What are you actually saying? See, we wouldn't have to keep screaming and hollering if we weren't afraid to really say what needs to be said. We wouldn't have to keep marching and protesting if we would say what needs to be said and stop, as the feminine, skating around what needs to be said. We master communication. And the only way to hold anyone accountable is to communicate accountability, correct? Correct. There are a lot of things that we should be saying as women that we're not saying. And if mama was speaking up like mama needs to speak up, the world would get it together. I ain't gonna go too deep into that, but I said what I said. Okay, and the fourth way is the fear of your uncut and raw authenticity. The fear of your authenticity, uncut. Uncut. I tell y'all all the time on these internet streets, your blessings, your miracles, your destiny, your man, your money knows the real you. If it ain't found you yet, ask yourself, where am I wearing a mask? Where am I not being my whole self? Where am I binding myself to someone else's expectations? Where am I not being authentic? Because the fear of your uncut, raw and uncut authenticity is another way that we fear our feminine power. This idea that the feminine is all about being pretty all the time, it's a lie. It's a lie. If your preference is to be pretty all the time, wonderful. There's no problem with that. But that has nothing to do with your feminine power. I know women who dress up and beat their face to the gods every day, and they are uber masculine. And women who wear football jerseys and Timberland boots, and they are in touch with their feminine power. So it has nothing to do with a look. And when you are afraid to step outside of an aesthetic into your authenticity, you're afraid of your feminine power. Raw power is how so many of y'all are looking at certain folks, and I'm specifically talking to my single ladies right now who are watching all these fall weddings happen and saying, now how she get a husband? Raw power. Raw power. This is the season of raw power. This is the season of knowing your power and using it, period. So, the thing about fear is that fear is not going to be fixed by doing more. And a lot of times when you notice these fears, when you notice that, you're having a fear of change, what will you do? You will, instead of leaning into change and transition, you will try to do more, achieve more, accomplish more to almost build a fortress around your life so that you can have more control. So we start to decorate the cage, as a friend of mine and I say all the time. We start to decorate the cage. We start to create an even more solid in our minds space for ourselves in our life, but we're reaching outward to deal with an inner fear. When you are afraid of your emotions, you start building up walls around your emotions. You start to create relationships or push people away in your relationships. You may create relationships that are with emotionally unavailable people so that you can control the narrative of the relationship. Fear just creates a need for more control, really. It creates a need for more control. You surrender less, so you receive less. When you're afraid of your own voice, when you're afraid of your own tongue, you start looking for other people's opinions. You need other people's permission. You're waiting for their validation. You want to hear what they have to say before you say what you need to say. When you're afraid of your own authenticity, do it for the gram. Listen, do it for the gram. Do it for the gram. But at the end of the day, it's not doing it more that is going to fix that fear and put you in your power, put you in a position where you're able to use the power that you have to affect change in your life. Getting another degree is not going to manifest for you. It will not. If what you desire is a healthy relationship, buying a bigger house is not going to make that happen. Having another child is not going to make that happen. If what you desire is to be fully valued for the gifts that you bring into the world, guess what? Guess what? Getting another degree ain't going to do it. It's not. I hate to break it to you. Hate to break it to you. I am not anti-college. I am not anti-degree. But what I will say is, if you are not being fully valued, it's because you are not fully valuing yourself. It is not because you're not asking for and positioning. It is not because you don't have a master's. It's not. Just want to let y'all know that. Unless you are in a field where you need a master's, you need a PhD to advance, that's not why you're not why you don't have the time that you want in your life. That's not why you don't have the personal life that you desire and the time that you need to spend doing the things that you really want to do. That's not why you're not being paid what you want to be paid so that you can live the life that you really want to live. Another degree is not the reason. It's an inner thing. Okay. So in order to fix these fears, it's not going to be accomplishing and achieving more. It's not going to be buying another thing. It's not going to be reading another book, listening to another podcast, or any of that. Fear is not fixed by your output. It's fixed by your input. It's fixed by your input. Your fear will be fixed by what you know you are putting into yourself, by the seeds you know you're planting. Because you are not afraid of what will happen when you take the lock off of your tongue, when you know the kinds of conversations you're planting inside of yourself. You are not afraid of your unbound emotions when you know the work that you're doing to process your emotions, when you know that you are invested in the work, when you know that your input is solid, you are no longer afraid, because you become that woman who says, you can throw me in the jungle and I will come out leading the pack. You become that woman who says, no matter what life throws at me, no matter what changes show up. Because here's the thing, you can be afraid of unplanned change all you want, and life is still going to change. There is nothing that you are able to do that is going to undo that. There just isn't. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do that will stop life from changing at some point. Seasons change, we change location, people are born, people die, marriages change, relationships change, jobs change, companies change. At some point, something is going to change. And so you've got to be so clear on your input that you know, no matter what shows up in my life, what comes out of me is going to match what I have been putting in. What comes out of me is going to match the seeds that I have been planting. You've got to be so clear on the seeds that you're planting within, because when you know the seeds that you're really planting, and that's the thing, that's why sharing posts on Instagram is not doing the inner work. Scrolling all of the motivational pages is not doing the inner work. Taking a bubble bath is not doing the inner work. Reading a self-help book is not doing the inner work. Some of y'all even going to therapy and not doing the work. You just going to therapy because that's a box that you check. You hired a coach because you needed to check that box. You did it. Mm-hmm. But the work is not being done. The showing up for the work that needs to happen so that you can plant the seeds you need to plant in order for when life changes, when it's time for you to speak up, when it's time for you to face your own emotions, when it's time for you to live your authentic truth. You're not walking around in fear and afraid because you know what's inside of you. So many of us are so busy planting seeds in our life. We're busy planting seeds in our children. We're busy planting seeds in our careers. We're busy planting seeds in our spouses. We're busy planting seeds in all of these other things that we love. We love those things enough to invest in them. Love you enough to plant your seeds inside of you first. Love you enough to invest within first, so that no matter what shows up, whether the relationships with those people that you love change, whether your life changes for better or for worse, you are not afraid of success nor failure because you know you. You know that whatever comes, you know how to transform it. And that is your feminine power, your power to alchemize, your power to take lead and turn it into gold. And you are your first project. You really are. We try to occupy ourselves with other people and other projects so much that we miss out on the project of truly working on ourselves. You are your first project. So, someone on Facebook said crying is cleansing. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And having spaces, creating spaces in your life where you are able to cleanse in various ways also is another tool, is another strategy, really a part of a strategy for making sure that you're not walking around in fear. Because if you don't have room or time in your life for these things, if you realize, you know what, I have been afraid to use my voice, I've been afraid to speak up, I've been afraid to say what needs to be said, and also you won't make the time in your life, you won't make time in your life to utilize your voice, to practice, the fear won't go anywhere. The fear won't go anywhere. And you'll continue looking outside of yourself for other people's opinions and what other people have to say and what their thoughts are, so you can formulate your thoughts. My dear friend Evelyn says, I cry weekly. Absolutely. Listen, sometimes multiple times a week, just depending on the week. But having that dedicated space where you allow your emotions to be, where you allow yourself to feel yourself. And see, what we are a society and a generation really that will pay dearly for the cheap alternative. We will pay dearly for the cheap alternative. And so what I mean by that is, to truly feel yourself is to be in touch with your emotions, to be in touch with your thoughts, to be in touch with who you really are, and to love and enjoy that on a very deep level. We will go out as a generation. I'm not talking about y'all, but you know, the person next to you, because but we will go out as a generation and pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for clothing, cars, fragrances, experiences, to say, I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. But you can't sit in a room with yourself for 30 minutes without feeling lonely, without needing something to do to occupy yourself, because you don't want to truly feel yourself. So we will pay dearly for the cheap alternative. We will pay a very high price to not deal with the real work. Simply put, the real work. But what ends up happening is that we lose the thing that is most valuable, and that's time. We lose time. And I know what it feels like to look up a couple years down the line and you like, I got all these things, and I still feel something missing. Something is missing. We lose time when we do that. That's not to say we shouldn't buy nice things, but the nice things are not what allow you to truly feel yourself, would allow you to be confident, would allow you to show up in a room and flip the room, really and truly. Because a person who is truly feeling themselves, yes, I could put on a pair of red bottoms and slay, but I can also walk into a room in some flip-flops and flip the room. I can't. I don't really like wearing flip-flops, so there's that, but sneakers. Let's go there. I'm getting into sneakers right now, y'all. So let's say sneakers. But it's an inner thing. And that's what creates that transformation that you're looking for that doesn't take years to happen. Because we can sit in the that masculine, let me build up the external for years and years and years, and look up, it's decades later and ain't nothing changed, because that's the nature of the masculine. That really is. It solidifies, it grounds, it creates that stable stability and structure. So it's designed for that. But if you're not in tune with the part of you that is able to rapid change, that is able to manage quick transformation, then you're not going to experience that manifestation the way that you truly want to, and the way that you've been designed to. You really have it. And that's why we desire it. The desires of your heart are sent of the Most High. You desire it because it's your design. But if you're not studying your design, if you're not tapping into and tuning into your design on a regular basis to where it is second nature, first nature to you, then you settle. You settle for living in fear. You settle for keeping still. You settle for stuck. You settle for stagnant. And sometimes you settle for success. You settle for a version of success that doesn't truly feel successful, but it looks successful and everybody else thinks it's successful. And I guess I should be grateful for it. Be grateful, but don't be stuck. And don't be disobedient to that nudge that's pulling on you, telling you that there is more for you, because there is. So with that, what are the first steps to finding your design? So what I would say is for those of you who are looking for first steps, the best way is to work with somebody who can take you along a guided path. Doesn't have to be me, but find someone who is able to help you get in touch with you. For those of you who do want to work with me, the Ease Experience early bird is ending tomorrow. I've been telling y'all that for a week. I was going to do a week-long early bird, and that was it. That's it. We start in December, but that's details for another time. What you really need to know is what the Ease Experience can do for you. So for those of you, whether you are brand new on your journey to reconnecting with yourself, or you've been down this road and you are wanting something that is repeatable, something that is stable, something that you can continue to tap into, grow from, and learn from over time, the Ease Experience is that. It balances the feminine and the masculine so beautifully, because you do get structure, you do get systems, you do get a manual and guide to support you that's very interactive, but it's also extremely flexible. It is designed to help you take a journey into yourself. It is designed to help you take a journey into the heart of yourself, into the heart of your home, into the heart of your work, and into the heart of your relationships, and get very, very clear on what you desire, but also what is needed and required in order to make success sustainable in those areas. So in the ease experience, what makes it the ease experience is that when you walk away from it, you don't really have to keep doing the work over and over and over and over again. You walk away with a guide that you have created during our time together. I created it, but you complete it during our time together, that tells you exactly who you are, exactly what your mission is, exactly the support that you need in order to bring that forward into the world. Not me telling you, you telling you taking this journey within in a way that is easeful, not necessarily easy, but it's easeful because you're in community, you're in an intimate space where you can truly unfold, and you're safe to tap into that feminine power. You're safe to take your mask off, and we hold your hand the whole way. So it's a 5-week course, 5 weeks of live coaching. You also get a complete guide and self-paced video course that walks you completely through the guide. Now, I will say, disclaimer, if you have never taken a course with me, you gonna cry, okay? At some point working with me, you will cry. So with the ease experience, we get the crying out of the way in module 1. You won't cry in any of the other modules unless it's just, the spirit just pulls something up, and that's all good. But we get the crying out of the way module 1. But I did have to make that disclaimer because when you are disconnected from your emotional power, sometimes those things bubbling up can be overwhelming. And so I have to let you know that there are some tears that will come up, but we do not leave you there. We do not leave you in your tears. You get coaching, you get support, you have community, all of that. So just for those who needed to know that, if you are ready to join the ease experience and you want to grab the best pricing, then grab it tonight, because you got 24 hours. You have 24 hours for the early bird. After early bird, it goes up to $14.97, still well worth it. Completely transformational. If you have not heard about it, tap the link or tap my bio, like my feminine success, wherever it is here on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, let me see. I'm going to put it in the comments, and in the video description. But if you're here, tap the feminine success and go and read the testimonials highlight. It'll blow your mind, okay? But but read the testimonials, read what other women had to say, because it's really not about what I have to say. Of course, I would say it's amazing. I've created it, but it's literally changing lives. It's changing marriages. We've had a couple husbands take the alignment guide and like have it in their office because it's just so good. They needed to get their life in order too. It works. It works for children, works for roommates, works for if you're single and you live alone. This is really for any woman who is saying, I know that there is something greater for me. There's something deeper for me. Yes, there are a lot of programs out here that are here to support you with what's going on the surface, here to support you with your career, here to support you with your image, your look, all of the things, even just your relationship. But there is a common thread that runs through all of those things in your life. And sometimes what is pulling that thread is a story that you no longer want to tell. So we're going to get in and reorganize that around what you really want it to be, what you really see for yourself, and create systems that help you to sustain that. So if that's the kind of support and work that you've been looking for, if this is the kind of coaching you've been looking for, join us in the ease experience. It's $9.97 for the next 24 hours. There is a payment plan for the next 24 hours on that $9.97 too, for those who need it. So click the link in my bio. Over here on YouTube, let me go ahead and post the link so that y'all have it and you can click directly from YouTube or Facebook. So with that, y'all, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to say goodnight. Good night, Grow On Urban Farm. So good to see you here. Good night, Brittany. So good to see you here. Glitter Moonshine. Oh, the room is full tonight. Thank y'all. I hope that this supported you in some way. I hope that it was edifying for you and it helped you to understand where you may be afraid of what has been given to you as a very powerful gift and a powerful tool. Your voice, your authenticity, your ability to navigate change, your emotions, for sure, your emotions. These things were given to us as gifts. And so if that's where you are and you're ready to shift that, join me in the ease experience. I'll talk to y'all soon.